Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 17 Ultimate Team pack opening. As you guys see, we have a ton of legend packs on deck. We even have a ton of flashback packs on deck. This is when Randy Moss was in packs. I opened these. We definitely tried to go hard for that limited edition Moss. It was going for over 1 million coins. Probably still is going for over 1 million coins. Even if we pull a Randy Moss collectible, that'll be going for a lot. So we went hard for that. We also went hard for Michael Strahan. I tried to get the Gap Tooth Giant himself. And you guys will see how that worked out as the pack opening continues. But while the pack opening is going on, what I do want to talk about is some NFL Week 9 picks and predictions. So before we get into those, Thursday night, we had the Falcons and the Buccaneers playing. And it looked like it was going to be a close game. You know, you had the fumble early on. You had Mike Evans going off with 2 touchdowns. He was kind of torching up Trufant in them. And eventually, the Falcons kind of outclassed them. They just had more talent on their team and ran away with it. They got some good young pieces on that team, like Neal, the safety. You got Deion Jones, the linebacker. And then on the offensive side, Matt Ryan is just playing lights out right now. As you guys see, we opened the topper first, and we get Charles Haley and Terrell Suggs. Haley's not a bad topper to get right here. It wasn't the Randy Moss we were looking for, but he's got like 92 or 93 finesse move, 90 block shed. He'll probably make our team. And even Terrell Suggs can probably make our team. 90 overall. Really good pass rusher at this stage of the game. He doesn't have any flashy stats, like he's not the fastest guy or anything like that. He just seems like a tough guy, kind of like just get the job done. So we could probably throw Suggs on there as we open up these legendary packs. By the way, they have 2 legend collectibles. So that'll be most of the elite flashes, and then you got 1 most feared player, and I think you get a legend player as well, like a gold one. I don't really know. You get a lot of stuff in it. It's kind of cool. It's kind of not, because you don't really pull many elite players, but nonetheless. So yeah, the Falcons, they kind of won that game. People are waiting for the Falcons to fall apart this year, but I don't think it's happening this year, man. Matt Ryan's just playing. I mean, I don't think he's gonna slow down from this pace. He did it last year where he just dropped off at the end of the year, but it's just, he's doing a really good job getting everybody involved, whether it's the running backs, Coleman and Freeman, whether it's Julio or Mohamed Sanu, the tight ends, Toy Lolo, Austin Hooper, even like Taylor Gabriels of the world are getting involved in that offense. It looks very fluid right now, and their defense, it's young, it's still not great, but it's good enough to get the job done. It was good enough to take care of Tampa. Now we move on to the Vikings and the Detroit Lions. The Vikings are coming back home after a couple of rough weeks on the road. Rough weeks. They lost the games. They lost the games pretty badly, including in Chicago, which no one really saw coming. With Jay Cutler coming back, everybody doubted him, and they just came out and stomped the Vikings. I mean, really defensively. They got Adam, they got the pass rush going, they couldn't run the ball at all, and they got rid of North Turner as a result of that. I mean, they said North Turner left, but I feel like that was a mutual decision where they weren't really too happy with the offense, and they didn't want to fire him. So now, because of that, I think this will help him a little bit, kind of like the way when Rex Ryan got rid of the offensive coordinator. I forget his name, the guy from San Francisco formerly. They ended up doing a little bit better. I think they'll work with Minnesota, and I think they can win this game against Detroit. I'm expecting it to be a close game just by the way the Vikings and Lions play. It's a rivalry game, but I feel like at home, you know, that new crowd will help boost Minnesota up just enough to win the game. They could ride their defense to the end of it. We go over to Baltimore and Pittsburgh. This is such a wild card game, mainly because no one knows if Big Ben's gonna play. I mean, Big Ben does this every single year. He's projected to be out like 8 to 10 months, and then he comes back and plays the next week as, oh, my heart stopped right here. I thought we pulled freaking Strahan, and we did, but we didn't pull the right one. We pulled 86 Strahan. I saw a Elite Flash. I saw Michael Strahan. I dropped my controller, and only to realize I had to pick it back up and keep on opening packs because that wasn't the right one. But yeah, so Big Ben, he's just like a freak of nature. I don't know how he does it every single year, and he's expected to play on Sunday. And if he does play, you know, he could take apart a pretty bad Ravens secondary. And if anything, Le'Veon Bell should eat a decent amount against the Ravens. But with the way the Ravens and Steelers play, you just never know. And I'm kind of leaning towards taking the Ravens to win the game, whether Big Ben plays or not. I don't think the Ravens are good. But I do think they can win this game on any given Sunday. I just have a weird feeling that the Ravens could pull it out today. And we'll see or tomorrow. We'll see what happens. The Jets at Miami. That could be a pretty defensive-minded game. Of course, the big game plan is whether the Jets' defensive front with Wilkerson and all those guys and Sheldon Richardson and I forget his name, the rookie from last year, Leonard Williams. And they got to stop Jay Ajayi because that dude's on fire. He's coming off a bye week. He's all well rested. And I think the Jets front, they're playing better the past couple of weeks. I think they have what it takes to stop Jay Ajayi, but I don't know that's enough because he's just playing out of his mind lately. And if he gets 100 yards rushing, I'm not saying 200, let's just say Jay Ajayi gets 100, that might be the difference in the game because I'm not sure Matt Forte and Bilal Powell will be able to run too much on Sue and those guys, the Miami defensive front. And I feel like the running games could make a difference in this game. And then, of course, you know, the better quarterback in this game is probably Tannehill. So naturally, you think Miami wins the game, right? No, I think the Jets win the game. I feel like this is gonna be one of those topsy-turvy weeks in the NFL, and I think the Jets actually find a way. I think Fitzpatrick might lead a late fourth quarter drive. We'll see what goes on though. Dallas and Cleveland, not gonna waste too much time on that because Dallas is playing really well this season. Their defense is playing above expectations. Dak is playing okay, just good enough to get things done, especially behind that offensive line. All you really need is someone to not throw 10 interceptions like the quarterbacks were doing last year for Dallas, and that's good enough. And then the Zeke is playing great this year, and maybe, I mean, Cleveland can make like a 10-point game. I'm not saying they get blown out, but I'm not saying they win the game either. We're taking Dallas, Kansas City, and Jacksonville. I really like Kansas City in this game. Blake Bortles, I'm not sure he can do too much against Marcus Peters and all those guys on the Chiefs defense. And even when Nick Foles in the game, because Alex Smith has the concussion, Nick Foles will be the starter. I think they can lean heavily on the ground game, and you know, that should be enough. And if anything, Nick Foles can even air the ball out a little bit. Take advantage of Jeremy Maclin. Take advantage of Travis Kelce a little bit more than Alex Smith does on most Sundays. So nonetheless, I think that the Chiefs have just enough. And that's the value of having a good backup quarterback like Dak Prescott, like Nick Foles, where your quarterback's out. Your season's not over. So that's good news for those two teams. Philadelphia and the Giants. Carson Wentz was supposedly supposed to be the backup. And then Sam Bradford got traded. And all of a sudden, here's Carson Wentz. And here he is balling out. Carson Wentz, the problem with him is he's doing a lot of checkdowns. There's a lot of what, like, his offense is not really giving him much, where the receivers are not too great. They're not getting open. It's kind of like the way the Packers play with Aaron Rodgers, and all they did last week was check it down. Carson Wentz, it was good that he didn't make too many mistakes, but you know, it wasn't really too much fun watching the Eagles last week. But I think they can open up their passing game against the Giants, who have been a little bit prone to giving up big plays this season. But mainly, I think the Eagles defense can lock down Eli Manning. Mainly because as a Giants fan, I've seen a lot of Giants and Eagles games over the past couple of years, and they shut down Eli Manning every single time. That pass rush of the Eagles, they can get at the quarterback. You guys saw that. They were sending a lot of pressure. They were sending extra pressure at Dak Prescott on Sunday night. And I think they could get some pressure with just their front four, with Barwin and all those guys. Kendricks, you guys see right there that we just pulled. It was pulling all these collectibles from the flashback pack. So yeah, I think the Eagles win that game. Should be a good game. I really hope the Giants win, but I would take the Eagles in that one. Carolina and the Rams in Los Angeles. It feels like it's been forever since the Rams had a home game. I think Carolina wins a close one. I feel like they can offensively figure out the Rams defense just enough. And then Case Keenum, you know, it takes a good quarterback to air out the Panthers defense. At least a decent one to air out the Panthers defense. Like a Matt Ryan, how he did with Julio Jones. I'm not sure they have that in Case Keenum. So because of that, we're going to take the Panthers to win that game. But, I mean, the Panthers, they need to win every single game, it feels like, to get back into the playoff hunt. As we pull our first elite punter of the year. That was pretty cool. We needed a punter, so that was nice. I was waiting to pull an elite punter to actually get one on our team. So that's cool to get Trey Waynes. New Orleans and San Francisco should be a fun game, as any game is with New Orleans. I'll take New Orleans to win the game because I feel like San Francisco is just talent deprived, I think is the right word. They just don't have the guys to win too many football games, and like now that we're in the heart of the season, I will take New Orleans to win the game. They're starting to get a little bit healthy. I feel like Drew Brees, you know, he's playing as a top 5 quarterback. That should be enough to tear apart the Niners. I'm not saying, I think it'll be a close game just because that's the way New Orleans plays, but we'll see what happens. Should be a fun game though. Tennessee and San Diego, that's also going to be a close game because that's the way San Diego plays. They play close games, but I think Tennessee actually goes on the road and wins this game. I think they can run the ball a little bit. As long as Joey Bosa isn't single-handedly wrecking the game plan, which very well could happen the way he's playing this season, I actually think they could do just enough to bother the Chargers and win the game on the road. Mainly, like I said, relying on that run game with DeMarco, who may be healthy, maybe not. Even Derrick Henry should be enough, but I mean, like I said, any given Sunday, I think there might be a couple of upsets. This Tennessee game might be one of them people consider an upset, but I think it's just been a lot of good football this year. That's the main thing. There's been a lot of close games. I know the viewer ratings have been down and stuff like that, but it's been a lot of close games this year. It's been pretty fun football season, and I think that'll continue. So now we move over to Green Bay and Indianapolis, another game that should be close, but might not be close if Green Bay can grab control of this game. I mean, the Packers secondary is not looking good right now, and that's definitely what the Colts want to do. They want to air the ball to Andrew Luck, and they don't even have a ground game. So Green Bay's got a good run defense, but how far is Frank Gore really running against the good front anyways, you know? So normally you think Indianapolis might have a chance, but I think Green Bay wins the game. I think Aaron Rodgers against the Indianapolis defense. You got Ty Montgomery back in the fold. He wasn't there last week. They're starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm. They had a good game against the Bears, I believe it was, on Monday night or Thursday night or something like that a couple of weeks ago. They played well against the Falcons, even though they lost. They lost on like a last-second touchdown to Sanu, and I think they have just enough of a rhythm to win against the Colts. And the Packers, they're that kind of team where they win games where they gotta win to make sure they get into the playoffs. They've done it for the past couple of years, and I think they do it again against Indianapolis. And then the Sunday night game, this is the game in a week, really good. Oakland versus Denver. Really looking forward to this one. Oakland's playing well. Offensive line's playing pretty good. Derek Carr is, I don't want to say MVP candidate, because I think Matt Ryan and Tom Brady are the MVP candidates, but he's got to be right behind those guys. He's one of the top quarterbacks out there. Slinging the rock, overtime win against Tampa Bay. They should have won in the regulation. There were just a bunch of dumb mistakes. Like, besides penalties, just so many dumb mistakes and missed field goals by Seabass. And they almost tied, and they ended up winning the game. And I actually think they win against Denver. It's in Oakland. It should be a really fun game. It should be a really electric atmosphere. And I think the CJ Anderson injury might show its ugly head against Oakland, where they don't have a good defense, but without CJ Anderson to carry them, will Trevor Siemian be able to carry the torch? I don't think so. And we'll actually take Oakland, and Oakland might just be playoff bound, and they're a fun young team. And Buffalo, Monday night, going on the road to Seattle. Say a prayer for them, because I don't think they make it out with a W. Now, I'm not saying Buffalo is bad. I just don't think they're the kind of team that can go on the road and win in Seattle. It's going to be a gritty game, and it's going to be close. And Seattle, good chance they're down a half, and that's what Seattle does. They just come back and normally win those kind of games. They couldn't do it against New Orleans. They almost did, but they couldn't last week. But I think they're able to do it against Buffalo. I still think Buffalo might have a chance at a wild card spot. It's starting to lose a little bit of its grip. They really needed that win a couple weeks ago against the Dolphins to have that claim, because then they lose in New England, then they play this team. But I think Seattle wins the game. I still think Seattle's a playoff team, even though they lost to New Orleans. And Russell Wilson's starting to get healthy. That should help them out a little bit. Russell Wilson might be due for his first big game of the year on Monday night. We'll see how that works out, though. Leave a like on this video if you guys enjoyed it. Should be a good Sunday of football, like I said. Leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about these predictions, and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. Until then, I'll catch you guys next time.